Welcome to a new episode of MatNum for January 2024. This month I will go through images I took using my computational photography apps, Camare, Vica, DarkCam, and Digital Paula, as usual. But we're going to follow up from last month. I was looking for a new idea to create a new module, a new algorithm for these apps. And I was sort of studying monochromatic treatment of images, basically going either to black and white or strongly diminishing the saturation. And here are two images. So I was really at the beginning of the month trying to study in what direction I should go. Either was like this photo on the left of Reykjavik, a detail of Reykjavik, go towards black and white and increase the analog feeling of it and reveal more of the non-temporal aspect of the image, or the more nostalgic feelings from monochromatic black and white images, basically, or just simply diminish the saturation, like on this image on the right in Geneva. That's a Café de la Presse, an old bistro in Geneva. On those three pictures, I was also wondering if I would stick with... I haven't done many modules working with the focus and the perfection, the rightness of the focus. I did a few, but shall I work and try to make things blurry or more crisp, like on the picture on the right? These three pictures are taken at various airports, obviously. What kind of color? Shall I bring some warmth, some coldness to it, or keep it quite technical? It's hard to say. Or maybe like on this picture, that's a detail of a house in Reykjavik. Strongly diminish the contrast and make things a little bit hard to see. Bring some mystery into the image, into the desaturated image, and some weird treatments. So basically I was experimenting with the random filters on my different apps and random generation of filters and trying to see what sticked. And slowly wandering also here, I was slowly getting an idea. We'll get to that a little later. But here basically, shall I work with those black and white option, create something more analog, as I said before, or use really digital transformation effects like this watershed effect. These are mountains from a plane of the southern ranges of Iceland. Or shall I go into more poetic places, like again here on the left, defocus, or try to make things more graphical, like this use of wide angle in the middle, or simply try to kind of hide the saturation, the original colors with treatment. In this case, that's Ondo, insaturator, and a real analog filmulator that are kind of distorting the snow. Lots of ideas. Here again, shall I go to the black and white, sort of black and white? There's still some color information here. It was those two performers at a concert in Reykjavik, or on the right where there's still some saturation. Try to make things a little bit less contrasty. This is the sea near the center of Reykjavik. Going back to lots of images which I really used to think about this new module. Shall I make things a little bit more blurry, dark, analog looking, or shall I go like on the picture on the right? That's the small lake in the center of Reykjavik. Shall I try to hide parts of the image by using digital artifacts? Here again on the left, using those digital artifacts, shall I kind of mess up the image construction, the original image, and create something different? Or like this image in the center in a bus, create the darkness, forcing the viewer to kind of try to read the story with more difficulty. Lots of ideas. Increasing contrast, maybe diminishing the palette. These three images are a bit here to show that. Increasing one of the colors, the main color. The picture on the right, that's same place, same time as the picture we saw a while back. So many ways to try to to create something, a new tool, basically. Those insaturators, I really see them as like they would be new analog films or a new lens. They're tools for me. And so they need to have some coherence. And so here, the same picture, I'm still working. I'll probably come out with this effect bracketing function for my apps. But here, that's just an example. Was I going in the right direction with monochromatic pictures, black and white, diminished colors? Or shall I actually go to the opposite and go towards something really more contrasty? Yeah. So well, basically, most of the time I have my apps in random mode when I'm looking for new ideas. Here are 3 examples. So it's the middle picture is the last eruption of the volcano in Iceland. That was in January, obviously. And on the left, that's during a concert. On the right, this weird 4x4 Volvo truck. Yeah, I was trying to confront myself to different results. Or shall I really stick to something more soft and work with texture, like with these 3 pictures? Well, I finally decided to go into a more segmental approach. I thought like, oh, okay, let's try to decompose the image and try to use the parts. Well, first decompose them in a certain way and then use these small fragments to create something linked to color. And so, yeah, here is basically my first 3 pictures where I was trying to segment the image according to the colors, to the resolution. And obviously the picture in the middle and the right, I was really trying to increase the color differences just to understand really what I was doing in terms of code, be sure I was going in the right direction. So that's not the results I wanted to have originally with the colors, but it gave me a good mapping of what I was actually doing if it worked. Here's 3 pictures where I actually add more of the data from the image, and I add the filmulator on top of the insaturator, giving it more of an analog feel. So the picture on the left, for example, that's one of my synths. A picture in my kitchen. The middle one, another one, seeing if there's really something going on with my way of analyzing my secret sauce for this module. And on the right, I'm starting to really mess up, according to my idea. I'll get to that a little later. Mess up the parameters in the code to get something more interesting. And while I was erasing the pictures, I often did dual photos just to test the system if it didn't overload the memory of my devices. And those dual photos, often I have the screen and I have my head and I have actually me in my state when I'm wondering if I'm doing something correctly. So I used to erase them, but I kind of left them now, and might give a good historical perspective after a few years of first my aging and then also how involved sometimes I can get with understanding what I'm doing. Yeah, anyways, could be an interesting... It's always funny to see how I look sometimes a little bit offset by but actually what results from my code. Here's 3 pictures where slowly I'm getting towards what I want. So basically, this new module, this new insaturator, which is available right now on 3 of the apps. I think it's still not on Vica publicly. I have it in beta mode, but it will come out soon. I'm basically creating those bands, those kind of physical bands, not very precise. The precision is kind of defined by the way I analyze the pictures, and transforming the color information in certain ways. I wanted it to be more subtle, but here I'm keeping it quite crisp just to understand what I'm doing with the code. Here again, the 3 previous ones were in Reykjavik. That's the sea from near the city center. And I think here it's starting to do what I want. So at that moment when I was coding, way more subtle than the first ones where I just put strong different colors in it. Those colors I actually created by analyzing the image underneath. Here I was doing a few, I felt it was too crisp, so here's the image on the left. That's basically it being too mushy, too blurry. We don't really see the effect anymore. It's interesting, but that's not what I wanted. I also realized that I wanted it to be more crisp in low lights because there's less color information, so it might as well be more graphical. So the picture in the middle, that's basically it, kind of starting to do what I want. And on the right, I wanted it to be of some sense if it's black and white. And here it might be a little not marked enough, but it's still there. It still gives an impression. And here, those three pictures, it's actually here, it's starting to be how I'm imagining it. Maybe a little bit too much saturation, but it's starting to work out. The definition, the color transformation, making things a little bit more monochromatic, but by sectors. I kind of like this physical feel of those bands going down, vertical bands, according to the orientation of the picture. And yeah, here on the left, that's two images. I believe it's Manchester Airport. So you can see how much the sun changing in the picture in the middle, how it changes the colors. That's my secret sauce. I know what's going on behind, but that was basically the goal I wanted. I wanted the image transformation to really react in an understandable way once you start using the module. And that's starting to work. On the right, that's maybe a little bit too marked, so there's still a few fine-tuning I've done after that moment, but that's a picture in Geneva, in the streets of Geneva. But here, this picture, that's a detail of Reykjavik. Here it's really as I kind of wanted it, so works pretty well as I wanted it in my head. And I wanted what I said before, when it's more monochromatic, I wanted the patterns to sort of come out a little bit more and more defined. So that's an example of the Alps from the plane, and I think that works pretty well. So that's how the module got released, and will be released in the last app. It's already released in the 3 first apps. Yeah, and basically the month of January was a lot of random generation of effects. So I'm still finding other ideas. Here are 3 paths I might go and explore. But yeah, that's basically for this month of January. Hope you will like this new module if you have the apps. And yeah, don't hesitate to post comments, suggestions, questions, and catch you next time.